Hey yogis, and welcome to today's session. Today we're going to focus on the back. So if you're feeling any discomfort or pain or maybe tightness in the back, then this class is for you. You won't need any props today, just yourself and your mat. So let's get going. We're going to start today in a child's pose. So you can go ahead and come onto the knees. And allow the knees to be about mat width distance apart. The big toes are touching at the back and we sit back onto the heels. If there's a big gap between the feet and the legs, then you can roll the blanket in between for a bit more comfort. Walk the hands forward and allow the forehead to melt down to the floor. And we'll just take 5 breaths here. So you can use this pose as a nice way to bring yourself into the present moment and feeling the touch or the feel of your mat. You can use this as an anchor throughout your practice if you feel your mind drifting. Just use the feel of your mat to bring you back into the present moment and into your practice. Just one more breath. And gently we rise up and move into all fours. So the wrists are right underneath the shoulders and the knees are underneath the hips. We'll do 5 rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, arch through the back, send the bum and the crown of the head to the ceiling. Exhale, round through the back, draw the hips in and chin to chest. Inhale, arch. Exhale, round. Try and keep the arms straight as you move through these. Inhale and exhale. Twice more. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. And come to neutral spine. From here we'll move into Sphinx pose. So come down onto the forearms and onto the hips. Nice. Looking straight ahead, crown of the head moves to the ceiling. Shoulders move away from the ears. And also relax through the glute muscles because that will reduce the pressure on the lower back. If you feel like this is too intense for you, you can just slide the arms forward a little bit so that will reduce the intensity. Wherever you feel comfortable, just stay there and we'll be here for another 3 breaths. Nice. Release the chest and the forehead down to the floor. Bring the hands next to your side and we'll go into locust pose from here. So as you inhale, start lifting the head off the floor and the hands, reaching them back toward the feet. And then you can stay here if that's enough, or you can try to lift the legs and the feet off the ground. And we keep moving the hands back and keep lifting the feet higher. We'll stay here for 3 breaths. With this last breath, maybe you can lift just a little higher. Good. And release it down. We'll do a nice counter stretch now. Hands next to the chest, gently press up. And come into a closed child's pose. So the knees are together, feet are together, sit back onto the heels. And then allow the crown of the head to drop down to the mat. Reach back, grab hold of the soles of the feet. And then we rise up with the hips, rolling onto the crown of the head. And allow the shoulder blades to open here. Feeling that nice stretch. Should feel really good. And we release it down. Good. From here we'll go into Malasana, squat pose. So just widen out the feet, just a bit narrower than mat width distance apart, and sit back onto the heels. So if you up here and it's very uncomfortable for you, you can just pause the video here and roll the mat up until you have the thickness you want, and then you can place the heels on the mat. Okay, otherwise if you can drop the heels to the floor, you can do so now. Bring hands to heart center and use the elbows to gently pry open the knees. Straighten out the back, rising with the crown of the head to the ceiling. We'll include a twist. So keeping the left arm on the inside of the left leg, just allow the left hand to move past the edge of your mat. And as you inhale, reach right arm up to the sky. Looking up toward the thumb if you can. We'll move to the other side. Bring the right arm to the inside of the right leg, right hand next to the mat, and as we now reach left arm up. Bring that hand back down and we'll transition into a ragdoll. So just straighten out the legs, allow the feet to come parallel to each other. And bend generously through the knees. We really want to allow the lower back to decompress here. So don't worry about having straight legs. And you can keep the arms dangling down or maybe even clasp the elbows to create a bit more weight in the upper body. You can stay still or maybe sway from side to side a little bit. Allowing the head to be really heavy as well, letting go of tension in the neck. And slowly release the hands down. You can start to straighten out the legs and we'll walk forward into downward facing dog. And now feel free to make any movements that feel good. Just settling into the pose. And then we just find a moment of stillness in our down dog, just for 2 breaths. Good, now inhale, step that right leg forward, in between the hands, drop onto the left heel. Let's just come up for a second here into a warrior 2. Then straighten out that front leg. We inhale, reach forward. As you exhale, release right hand down, coming into Trikonasana, triangle pose. Okay, so what you want to be mindful of in your triangle pose is not to fold forward too much so that you reach the floor. You want to keep the upper body nice and stacked over that front leg so that you get the benefit of the stretch. So even if it means that you're up higher, that's fine. Your hand can be on your shin for support or just letting it hover above the floor, and you can look straight ahead or up to the thumb. If you feel the ribs are popping up, just bring them back down. And now we inhale, come back. We're just going to swivel the toes around to the back so that we go into the other side. Okay, so left toes face the short side of the mat. The right toes are in just as is comfortable. Allow your body to guide you. Then inhale, reach forward, and exhale, release it down. Either looking straight ahead or up to the hand. And we'll inhale, back up again, swivel the toes to the front and bring the hands down to the floor, stepping back into downward facing dog once again. From here we'll move into pigeon pose, so inhale, reach the right leg up. And as you exhale, bring the right knee behind the right wrist. The right foot is in line with the left wrist. Slide that back foot back so that you can come onto the top of the knee. Stay nice and lifted in that right hip, not dropping down to one side. And you can determine the intensity with this foot. So the further the foot is, or the shin is parallel to the front of the mat, the more intense that stretch will be. The more you send the foot back, the less the intensity is. So just find that sweet spot for you where you feel a nice deep stretch. Now inhale, arch through the back, looking up. And as you exhale, move down, either coming onto the forearms or maybe even coming all the way down to the floor. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Now slowly come back up onto the hands, and we'll transition straight into half Lord of the Fishes pose. So this time allow the right hip to drop down to the floor, and see if you can bring that left leg all the way around to the outside of the right thigh. Once you're here, stay nice and lifted in the back and the knee. Take an inhale. Bring the left hand behind you, and as you exhale, twist. So you can either wrap the right arm around the leg or maybe even hook the elbow and look over the left shoulder. With an inhale, lengthen through the spine, and an exhale, twist deeper. Keep breathing. And slowly release out. We're going to meet back in a downward facing dog, so just unpretzel yourself and make your way into a down dog. Just a quick neutralizer. And now we'll transition to the other side. So inhale, reach left leg up. And exhale, bring left knee behind the left wrist, foot in line with the right wrist. Sliding back, coming onto the top of the right knee, staying nice and lifted. And we inhale, arch, look up, and exhale, release down, either onto the forearms or all the way down to the floor. And again, we'll be here for 5 breaths. Maybe taking note how one side maybe feels a bit different from the other. That's perfectly normal. We just want to observe and get to know our bodies. Good. And slowly we come back up and transition to half Lord of the Fishes on the other side. Drop down onto the left hip this time. Bring that right foot all the way around to the outside of the left foot, or the left thigh rather. Bring the right hand behind you. Inhale, reach the left arm up and twist. Looking over the right shoulder this time. And release. We'll go straight onto our backs from here. So lying down and setting up for bridge pose. So bringing the heels close to the bum so that you can brush the heels with the fingertips. The hands are next to your side. And now as you inhale, start with the hips, rolling them up toward the ceiling. Keep rolling one vertebra at a time, and then you bring the chest toward the chin. We'll be here for 5 breaths. Feel the back activating and the hips opening. And now as we transition down, see if you can start at the top of the back and roll down one vertebra at a time. So really taking your time. The longer you take, the juicier that release will be. You can even lift up onto the tippy toes if you feel pressure on the knees and you want that space to release down. Nice and slow. There we go. Nice. Hug knees into chest. And for our last poses, we'll do supine twists. So depending on how your back is feeling, if you want a milder variation, you can just keep the knees together and allow them to drop to one side. If you want a bit more intensity, you can drop the right foot down to the floor. Allow the left foot to cross over the right, bring the arms out to the side, and drop the legs over to the left hand side. So the weight of that left leg pulls the right leg deeper into a stretch. You want to be mindful to bring that right shoulder down to the floor so that you can get the full benefit of the twist. You can keep looking up or move the head to the right hand side for a complete twist. And bring the legs back to center. And if you had the knees next to each other, just allow them to drop to the other side. Otherwise, switch legs. Right leg over the left this time, and we drop the legs over to the right hand side. Both shoulders stay down on the floor. Look straight up, or bring the head over the left shoulder. Good, and just enjoy how this feels on the spine. Good, and slowly release. Hug both knees into the chest, and we'll hold this for 5 breaths as well. Hug them in as close as you can. Good. We've reached the end of class. If you want to relax a little bit more, you're welcome to go into Shavasana and stay here. Otherwise, if you're ready to move on with your day or your evening, you can come up to seated. Bring your hands to heart center and keep the eyes closed. May you be filled with loving kindness. May you be protected from inner and outer dangers. May you be healthy in body and mind. May you be happy and find true peace. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me again today, yogis. I hope you're feeling good. I hope your back has got a bit of relief. And if you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't yet, please subscribe. And if you're into personal development, I release a personal development podcast episode every Tuesday. So be sure to go and check out my channel. Other than that, I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day or evening, and I will see you again in the next video.